Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, uh, September 5th, and I'm eating grapes. If the climate gets any worse, there will be no more, excuse me, there will be no more grapes. Sad but true. When sunset.
Sunset will be at 6:41 p.m. today.
Sunset's in 3 minutes. Mm, okay, three more. Woo. An amazing thing. A grape. All right, so let's run through some of the stuff today. So yesterday we talked about let me see if I can find this article. Yesterday we talked about, or day before yesterday, we talked about the Supreme Court, and then so the Supreme Court sort of got, oh come on guys, the Supreme Court sort of got reared back on its heel because the poll number was so bad, and of the nine of them, seven have said something about defending themselves and saying that they're sort of like under attack, quite frankly, which sounds like weird to me, but everybody's unhappy with you. Everybody's unhappy with you. Everybody's unhappy with you. It can't be everybody. It must be you, right? Um, must be you. Ugh. Day before the start of a tumultuous term, and after the Supreme Court, justices divided bitterly over a Texas law that bars abortion. 6 week, Judge Sotomayor warned them and audience students about the frustration of having to write dissents. Aw, aw, aw. Hey, William, good to see you. Oh, did they? Yeah, that was looking bad for them. I mean, how you gonna run and win the midterm? But you got a Marine in jail. You have to quietly release him and work on other things. It's political, right? Leaving him where he was a political nightmare for you. Uh, there's going to be a lot of disappointment in the law, a huge amount, she said Wednesday at an evening hosted by the American Bar Association. Look at me, look at my dissents. Earlier this month, Sotomayor penned a scathing opinion when the court's majority allowed the Texas law to go into effect, calling the action stunning. I can't change Texas law, Sotomayor said one day, but you can, and everyone else who may or may not like it can go out there and be a lobbying force and change the laws that you don't like. The fuck out of here. This should not be this hard. Everything isn't a 50-50 split. And they ruled against some common sense stuff. The justice then caught herself speaking about contentious court before the case. I'm pointing out what to that. I am pointing out to that when I should be they tell me I shouldn't, she said. I am pointing out to that when I shouldn't be. I'm pointing out to that when I should be because they tell me I shouldn't. Who's they? That is a weird sentence. I'm pointing out, she's just, okay. I'm pointing out to that when I shouldn't because they tell me I shouldn't, she said. But my point is that there are going to be a lot of things you don't like, and that public can change that. She's so full of shit. On Monday, the new Sotomayor. This is all about Sotomayor because other people said shit too. Sotomayor. This is a piece about Sotomayor, right? Everyone else said other stuff too. Anyway, yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. He can't say anything. Yeah, oop. He's not a private citizen. He's a military officer. Go home, and I order you to keep your mouth shut. No, you can go on social media. Don't talk about this, right? Men of discipline. He's not going to do it. He may be on social media and people may be looking. He'll definitely talking about his kids or his lovely dog, and people go, "Well, I guess that happened." But yeah, he can't. He can't go outside the bounds. What was his marine? What was his name? Scheller. October 30th. What is this, Tuesday? That's not. Oh, that's August 30th. I mean, Lieutenant Colonel. 8 days ago. 4 days ago. Raised $2 million for Marine who despises both of withdrawal from Afghanistan. Somebody gave this guy $2 million. Yeah, I'd leave too with $2 million. 8 days ago. Marine Lieutenant Colonel who demanded accountability 1 week ago, 6 days ago, 5 days ago, 3 days ago. 1 day, 1 month ago. What is going on? Wow, you got that fresh because it's not even out yet. Eight days ago, April 30th. Yeah. 1 week, 5 days ago, 5 days ago, 3 days ago. There's only 2 pages on them. $4 ago. But this one says Stuart Scheller is a petulant whiner who deserves justice. I've never heard of PJ Meter, but man, that is one one way to phrase that thing, to look at it. "90 retired generals and admirals call for Austin and Miley to resign over Afghanistan withdrawal." Yeah, the whole thing's a shit show. One month ago, 1 month ago, 1 month ago. Okay, well, there's not a lot about them. 8 days ago. That's amazing. All right, well, we'll close that. Let me put this over here. It is dim in here. 6:47. When's sunset?
I didn't get that.
When's
Try tapping.
when's sunset?
Sunset was at 6:41 p.m.
Yeah. All right. Whew. All right. So Kristen Cinema and Joe Manchin have had a weekend. Not a weekend like they had together, but like have had quite a week hearing about it from their constituents. Whistleblower. Don't trust Facebook. Okay. NRA can't start process to suspend Bob Baffert from horse racing, Judge rules. Oh, NRA can start. New York Racing Association? NYRA. I'm sorry. I can't even read today. Yeah, okay. Wyoming police handcuff black realtor for squatting? Men are no more likely to be single than women. It's not a good sign. Oh, men are now more likely to be single than women. Yeah, this is not news. I mean, men aren't stupid. Marriage is not really for men, it's for women. And guys are kind of like, yeah, no. The idea that people see this, black people, white people, Latino people, um, Asian people, right? See this in the West here, and when I say the West, I'm primarily talking about America, and go, oh yeah, I want that. And if it does go bad, I'm fine with how it'll all play out, right? No, dang it, now I have to do what twice the work, right? Because now I got to pay for a lot of this stuff for my ex-wife.
I'm
But
not sure who that is. What's
Quiet.
your wife's name?
quiet. Now I have to pay a lot for my ex-wife, right? As well as my new wife. Or what if the new relationship doesn't go well? Now I've got two ex-wives, but I still kind of, you know, you begin to have by having hope in marriage, you'll put yourself behind the eight ball really quickly. What am I looking for? Here it is. Yep. Yep. I think that does it. So now people are shocked that people aren't getting married. Men are now more likely to be single than women. It's not a good sign. Almost a third of adult single men live with a parent. Really? That's not good. A third. That's not good at all. That's a lot. A third? That's ridiculous. Wow, a third. Okay. A third. Whew. Wow. And don't get it twisted. I'm from a long line of people who get married and stay married, right? My parents have been married for like 65 years. Good Lord. Brother and sister have been married for like 20, 30 years. No, they've got married, yeah, easily 25 and 35 years, right? So some of us are from marrying people. And we look at this stuff and we just kind of go, I mean, I say it all the time. I think it's a perpetual argument. It's the conflict that people want in these relationships. It's a really passionate relationship if we are always yelling and screaming and having all this drama. No, it's not. I don't want to say that you should like snuggle into your relationship like it's a cool coat or a comfortable thing. But yeah, it should be a comfortable thing. You shouldn't be stressed out about it all the time. You shouldn't have doubts about if this person or that person is going to cheat on you, right? I'm going to leave you, going to do X, going to do Y, going to do Z. And I think a lot of it has also people have been made to be emotionally sort of, do I want to say emotionally numb to a lot of things. All the sex and all the violence on TV makes you a little more numb. Um, so yeah, now you're like, man, she leaves, fuck her, bye, right? And that's not what you want. But at the same time, you've also had people raised up on on trying to get a woman back and being called a stalker. So now you don't try to get her back. You let her go. So now what's the line? What how can I phrase this? How much work should I do to get you back to show that I'm interested in you and maybe we could work this out? What's the line before you're like, oh my God, he won't leave me alone? In an environment where people are supposed to be like, yeah, fuck you. I'd say goodbye and that's it. Right. I told you, I've said so on this program before. I've only known one woman to ever have been like, man, I shouldn't have let that guy go. Only one woman in my life, ever in my life. He was a good, I don't know what the fuck I was on. I really ruined a good thing. Every other woman I know, they don't regret it. It's like, yeah. So, I mean, what's the connection? It's not just men, right? And if your lady is so stoic and you're emotional, you're considered weak. So I don't want to be considered weak. I'm going to sit over here and paint or draw or watch sports all by myself, right? Or maybe, I mean, those are two reasons, right? One is emotional, one's financial. There's got to be a third. Children, right? You love these kids, and all of a sudden your relationship's over. 90% of the kids leave, and then, like I said, you can't have any more because you can't afford kids, right? Let's say you bought a house and a car and all this stuff. Now you need two sets of that for the next family of kids. Yeah, I think marriage has been undercut, and I don't think men are as goofy as people think they are. And a lot of people are just kind of like going, okay, well, I won't say I'm sad and lonely about not being able to get married and have a family and all this. I'll just say that the world's too crowded. I don't want to bring kids into the world. Or I'll say I haven't met the right one. Or I'll say, there's a ton of reasons why this thing doesn't work out. Why people don't care. Should we look this? Should we read this online? Let's see if we can find it online. Uh, I remember when all these women were single, they were calling them. Here it is. When all the women were single, they were calling them old maids, right? So what are all these guys who aren't getting married? What are they? First of all, what the fuck is it, old maid? Right? An old maid. A maid is an old fashioned term for a lady, right? Like a maiden. Old maid. Maid meaning not, and it also means woman, right? So that's why you have a maid come and clean your house. It's really a woman coming to clean your house. A female domestic servant, archaic literature, a girl or young woman, especially an unmarried one. Yeah, okay. So archaic, a maid means a young lady, an unmarried young lady. So an old maid is an old unmarried woman. Um, and men are just bachelors? What does being an old maid mean? A female servant, especially a woman or girl who does cleaning work in a house or a hotel, a girl or woman who is not married, a maiden. All right, good job. Let's get into this thing. Look at the picture they used for this. Hold on, here it is. I wish I could drop this. You have unlimited number of free articles. Uh-huh. Uh, he's got on flip flops. He's in his boxes. Yeah. All right. He looks like Bernie Frank. Almost a third. Let's shrink this down. Oh, let's swap this over. Ooh. Let's put this here. Excuse me. Almost a third of adults, single men, live with a parent. Single men are much more likely to be unemployed, financially fragile, and to lack a college degree than those with a partner. They're all over. So, what does that mean? Does that mean women pick partners who have all this shit? Or does that mean women meet men and make them all these things: college educated, financially secure, and employable? This is a really weird. Who wrote this? Belinda Lupscomb. All right, Belinda. Almost a third of adult single men live with a parent. Single men are much more likely to be unemployed, financially fragile, and to lack a college degree than those with a partner. They're also likely to have a lower median earnings. Single men earned less in 2019 than in 1990. They earned less. Everything's getting more expensive. How could you earn less than people did that at the same time 20 years ago? How is this system not rigged AF? It's too late for you to go back. Yeah. Even adjusting for inflation, single women, meanwhile, earn the same as they did 30 years ago, but those with partners have increased their earning by 50%. So I could read this first article about how it behooves women to have a man in their lives because they make more money. Why? I mean, I could look at it that way. They like to have lower median income. Single men earn less. Even adjusted for inflation, single women, meanwhile, this is the killer sentence. I tell you, man, you got to read between the lines. Single women, meanwhile, earn the same as they did 30 years ago. They earn the same as they did 30 years. But with a partner, that's the magic, have increased their earnings by 50%. All right. And that goes to my first thing, right? Uh, if you break up with a guy, he's still giving you money. If there's a child involved, right? If there was a marriage, even if no children, there's alimony and all this shit. Uh this I mean, where are these guys supposed to like be able to do this, right? Multiple marriages. This isn't Hollywood. So marriage is only good for women. I hate to say it, but it's true. Uh Okay, there are some of the findings of a new Pew Research analysis of 2019 data on the growing gap between American adults who live with a partner and those who do not. While the study is less about the effects of marriage and more about the effects that changing economic circumstances have had on marriage, it sheds light on some unexpected outcomes of the shift in the labor market. Over the same time period that I mean, the idea that you're reading this like you don't know why this is the case is making me crazy. Uh, I've said it before, and people think it's cynical, but um, a lot of women don't want to be married; they want to be divorced. The money's in the divorce, right? Marriage takes work. With a divorce, you can cash out. Is it cynical? Is it sexist? I think it's just true, and that's the thing. If you say true shit that people disagree with, they will lump you in boxes. So we can have this conversation, right? But at a party, this would just be a shouting match, and someone will end up calling you a sexist. Even as I mean, people act like there are no married and divorced people in their area of the country. And we're talking about America now, right? Because you know how this goes. Oh, I'm broken up, got to sell the house, got to do this, got to do that. Um, yeah, it's bad. It's bad for marriage anyway. Um, that plus the population growth is going down. People aren't even having kids anymore. Like couples aren't. There's single mothers everywhere having kids. Don't get me wrong. Um, but the idea that this guy and this girl plan to have a family together and have kids is down. Even those who do get married aren't having kids, and they aren't having many. So everybody has one kid. It's like it's China all of a sudden. In 1990, let's read this paragraph over the time period that the fortunes of single people have fallen. The study shows the proportion of American adults who live with a significant other, but its spouse or unmarried partner also the proportion of American adults who live with a significant other, but its spouse or unmarried partner also declined substantially. Over the same period of time, the fortunes of single people have fallen. The study shows the proportion of American adults who live with a significant other, be it a spouse or unmarried partner, also declines. Yeah, so people aren't even living together anymore. I don't even want to live with you. right? You know what happens when you live with people? I don't know. I live with people twice. Uh, it comes apart, right? Are we going to stay together? Yeah. Are we just roommates who fuck? What are we doing here? Um, and sometimes you're just roommates who fuck who should break up, but then a baby shows up. Now you're in with this person for a while, and you don't want to marry them, right? And then the next person you come by, you fall in love with, but you've got this other thing behind you. I'm just talking about this from a guy's point of view, right? I'm sure ladies have a totally different concern, but remember, this article is about men. So before you get too hot, this article is about men. Uh, so all these things are down. People aren't even shacking up together. Also declined in 1990. About 71% of folks from the age of 25 to 54, which are considered the prime working years, had a partner, and they were married to or lived with. In 2019, only 62 did. So that's down by 11%. I'm sorry, 9%. Can't even count. Um, Partly this is because people are taking longer to establish that relationship. Really? Really? Oh, good Lord. People are partly because people are taking longer to establish that relationship. Really, everybody just decided to take longer. This is bullshit. You can't prove this. This line, she can't prove. This sounds like pulling shit out of your ass. And what is the difference between liking someone and dating them for 2 years and liking someone and dating them for 5 years? Nothing. 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 Yeah, this line is bullshit. The median age of marriage is creeping up. Yeah. And while now more people live together than before, but you said living together was down. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. The median age of marriage is creeping up. While now more people live together than before, that has not matched the number of people who are staying single. Okay, but it's not just an age shift. The number of single people is also much higher than it was in 1990. Quarter of 45 from a quarter of 40 to 54-year-olds to almost a third by 2019. A third is a lot. That's 1 in 3. I mean, a quarter is 1 in 4. It's not as bad. It's 25. If you had 100 people, you have 25 single people, which you don't like, but you have 75 people in relationships, which is good. But a quarter is 30 to 60, right? 60 is not good. It's a third. All right. And among those 40 to 54-year-olds, 1 in 5 men live with a parent. That's 20%, which is not good. And hey, I can tell you, I have met parents who have coddled their sons and broke them. This is a true thing. Some don't want to leave home. Mom and dad paid for everything. When they screwed up, mom and dad covered for them when they were kids. Now, adults their own age who had to go through shit themselves don't really like them. They sense there's something off about them. All these reasons. So why is your kid spending time with you of that 20%? They're not all just layabouts who don't get married. Some of them are broken toys. Uh, and some of them are just late starters. So just because you're all at the same thing right now doesn't mean you all got there in the same way. And that's important to this. Oh man, my nose. All right, so the trend has had an equal impact across all sectors. Wow. If it's across all sectors, that means somebody broke something someplace. Okay, that's what that means. The Pew study, which uses information from 2019 American Community Survey, notes that men are now more likely to be single than women, which was not the case 30 years ago. Black people are much more likely to be single, 59%. Wow. Wow. Okay, no, I see that. Okay, I see that. Black people more by 59% though. Okay, than any other race. And black women, 62% are more likely to be single of any other sector. Asian people, 29% are the least likely to be single, followed by whites, 33, and Hispanics, 58. 30 to 50, and we're up here at 59 to 60%. Yeah, you attack a group, you attack a community. This is what you get. But everyone being broke is when you attack the whole country, and that's what you get. I mean, it is what it is, man. Most researchers agree that the trend lines show that fewer people are getting married and that those who do are increasingly better off financially, have a lot more to do with the effects of wealth and education on marriage than vice versa. People who are financially stable are just more likely to find and attract a partner. Financial. You know what? I ain't saying she a gold digger, but yeah, look, listen. Just saying money comes into play in relationships. Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm shocked that you would even say such a thing. Maybe that's what it is. And you know what you also don't look into? How many relationships have you had? Because in my experience, and I hate to be the one to say this, but in my experience, uh, a guy will ask a woman out a lot more than a woman will ask a guy out. So you can date 5 guys a year, let's say, right? And then be single, and then 2 weeks later somebody asks you out, then you might be in a new relationship. Guys, I mean, only like those magazine guys can do that, right? Call high in demand or running arounds, right? You're running around talking to everybody. How many relationships can you have after you crash out of a relationship? Don't you need recoup time? Apparently, some people don't. A week or two. What's that whole thing? Get up under somebody fast or some shit, and this is what you have. So I don't know. More research that the trend line showing fewer people are getting married, and that those who do are increasingly better off financially. People who are financially stable are just more likely to find an attractive partner. Yeah, it's not the marriage is making people be richer than they used to. It's that marriage is becoming an increasingly elite institution, so that people who are increasingly only getting married if they already have an economic advantage, says Philip Cohen. I just said that. A professor of sociology at the University of Maryland, College Park. Marriage does not make people change their social class. It doesn't make people change their race, and those things are very big predictors of economic outcome. This reframing of the issue may explain why fewer men than women find partners, even though men are likely to be looking for one. The economic pressure on men are stronger. Research has shown that the ability to provide financially is still a more prized asset in men than in women. Although the trend is shifting, some studies go so far as to suggest that 30-year decrease in the rate of couples can be attributed to largely the global trade, and 30-year decrease in number of stable and well-paying jobs for Americans mean that it brought with it. Yeah, I would agree with that. Excuse me. Okay. When manufacturing moved overseas, non-college educated men found it more difficult to make a living, and thus more difficult to attract a partner and raise a family. But there's also evidence that coupling up improves the economic fortunes of couples, both men and women. It's not that they only have to pay one rent or buy one fridge, says some sociologists which study marriage. It's that having a partner suggests having a future. Yes, fucking yes. That is the point. To move on into the future with somebody, right? They're supposed to be your ride or die, but everybody is taught that nothing really matters. And, yeah. So I could do a show about like some of the shit I've seen in people's relationship. I don't give relationship advice because, like I said, I'm single. Um, but man, I have seen some shit where I just have to scratch my head. Some of it forgiven, and pets that was unforgivable in my opinion, and some of it was just not forgiving, and I thought that was petty. Well, and everything in between, right? It's you and this person. What is the contract we're going to have with each other? Because it's going to be different than the contract that guy and that girl have with each other. What are we going to stand for? People don't fucking have a personal philosophy anymore. That's the problem. People will do and say anything. That's disgusting. And then this has been going on for a while now. And then they raise kids who will do and say anything. And then those people in the population suck. Sorry, hate to be the one to tell you. Those are all the people you hate. And mind you, it's on the spectrum too. There's a way in which marriage makes men more responsible. Yes. And that makes them better workers. Yes. right? You're not going to just flip off your boss and leave. If you have a wife and a kid and a mortgage, right? You're building something. So and then you'll look for a better gig and want to do, yeah. So all this stuff is not news. And that makes them better workers, says University of Virginia sociologist Professor W. Braxton Wilcox, pointing to a Harvard study that suggests single men are more likely than married men to leave a job before finding another. Said that, just said that. The Pew Research points to a Duke University study that suggests that after marriage, men work longer hours and earn more. Yeah, that makes sense, right? I'm gonna do whatever I want, da 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 da. But once you have a partner, you sit down at the kitchen table and go, like, oh man, I'm gonna buy a car. I'm gonna get that two-seater Mazda coupe. But when you got a partner, she's like, we don't need a two-seater Mazda coupe. What we probably need is like a minivan or like a Jeep or something that we can pick up groceries with and take the baby around. That you wouldn't have thought if you were single. You're like, yeah. And you probably wouldn't even think of Mazda coupe, right? You think, oh, well, what am I going to cart this woman and this baby around in? A minivan, and all your boys are laughing at you. But secretly, while they're eating cornflakes over the kitchen sink, you're having a regular dinner because your wife or your girl or your man or whatever is not going to let you eat food over the kitchen sink like you're single. So this is not news. There's also evidence that the decline in marriage is not just about being wealthy enough to afford it. Since 1990, women have graduated college in far higher numbers than men. The BA versus non-BA gap has grown tremendously on a lot of things in terms of income, in terms of marital status, in terms of cultural markers and taste, as Colin. It becomes a sharper demarcation over time and I think that that's part of what we see with regard to marriage. If you want to lock yourself in a room with somebody for 50 years, you might want to have that same level of education, right? And just have more in common with them. Look, I I would totally discount this same level of education bullshit, uh, and say you just want to have shit in common with them. This whole same level is an elitist statement that you're trying to also wrap in human connection to people, and they don't wash, right? Um, Wilcox agrees. You get women who are relatively liberal, having gone to college, and men who are relatively conservative, still living in the working class. Or really, is that how that works? So every woman who went to college is liberal, and every guy who didn't is conservative, still living in the working class world, and that can create a. Yeah, you're talking. Look, man, you're bringing up a sliver of this and saying this is a whole picture. There's a lot of liberal women, uh, college educated conservative women as well, and they can find conservative guys, and liberal women can find liberal guys. But the society says, look, this all comes back to money. Money is God in America. That's it. That's it. That's it. If I hit the lottery tomorrow, I got nothing but dates. I hate to say it. I can be the nicest guy in the world, but if I'm dead broke, women, it's a rare woman who will give me a second look, right? I think that's fair. It doesn't say that women are evil and greedy, but it does say that that's the way it's looked so far in this modern century. Let's read this again because this doesn't make any sense. Women. Oh, you get women who are relatively liberal, having gone to college, and men who are relatively conservative, still living in a working class world that can create a kind of political and cultural divide that makes it harder, excuse me, for people to connect romantically as well. Okay, I don't buy that at all, but all right. Um, what seems to be clear is that the path to marriage increasingly runs through college. Okay. I don't believe any of this. While the figures on single men declining economic fortunes are the most sobering, they are not what surprises the report's authors the most. It's quite startling how much the partnered women. Let me slide over here because I think I'm sliding out of frame. Hey, Brian. Good to see you. There you go. A way to the woman's heart is through her stomach. Um, While the figures on single men declining economic fortunes are the most sobering, they are not what surprises the report's authors the most. It's quite startling how much the partnered women have now outpaced single women. Yeah, because you get twice the income, the partner women. These people, oh my God. I bet you they're highly educated. A senior research at the Pew Research Center, about 43% of women, partnered women have completed at least a bachelor's degree, comparing to a third of single women. 43% of partnered women have completed a bachelor's degree, compared to a third of single women. All right, so out of 100 single women, 33 have a bachelor's degree, and out of 100 partnered women, 43 have also, it's a 10-degree difference. Why did you word that this way? About 43% of partnered women have completed at least a bachelor's degree, compared to a third of single women. I don't like the way they throw math around. It always sounds more spectacular than it is. He speculates that women may be going to college in greater numbers because it helps them attract a partner in the same way it helps men. But if no men are going to college, then college isn't helping you attract a partner, right? And then if all these women are going to college, let's say the population is 100 people and 100 men and 100 women. Let's say you've got 45 women who are college graduates, right? And 5 women who aren't. But you don't have that many college graduate men. Let's say you have 10 college graduate men and 90 aren't. So now what you have is 45 women trying to marry 10 guys. I mean, this article is bugging me out. Thanks, man. So yeah, I mean, the logic of what they say, they instantly contradicted in the next sentence. Um, Not only are they rewarded in the labor market with higher earnings, but increasingly partnerships also depend on educational attainment. Yeah, all right. You know what, you guys? I mean, see, this is what I mean. Who wrote this article? She is not good. Belinda Lupscomb is an editor at large at the time, author of Marriageology, the art of staying, the art and science of staying together. Yeah, I don't buy it. I'm just curious. Excuse me. Wikipedia. Here we go. All right. Was born in Sydney, Australia. The first strike against you. This is also cultural, right? And I said this before. Just because you're white and from the West does not mean you know shit about the country you're living in, right? Just because you speak English and you're from Australia, or English and from Canada, or English, you speak English and you're from Britain, and you show up here does not mean you know what's going on here, right? There's something to be said for growing up in the system. All right, so let's get it. What this Australian lady thinks about marriage in America. Let's get it. Oh, stop it. All right. Uh, Born in Sydney, Australian-born journalist, author of the book Marriageology: The Art and Science of Staying Together. Spiegel and Grau, 2009. She is editor at large. What the hell is an editor at large anyway? Is a journalist who contributes content to publications, sometimes such as an editor. It's called a roving reporter, or editor at large. So she's a roving reporter. All right, I got you. And served the Times art. She was the art editor. She's your marriage official and your art editor. Thus directing all times cultural coverage. She joined the magazine staffer in 1995 and became a senior editor in 1999. Cover story. She edited the last Star Wars, May 2005. Has TV gone too far? March 2000. After switching to writing, okay, she called blah 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 blah. Cover stories of Sheryl Sandberg, who's Mark Zuckerberg's sister. Gretchen Carlson, who's a Fox News propagandist. Marriage, pornography, grief, and parents who lost children to gun violence. That is a wide ranging marriage, pornography, grief, and parents who lost children. So the parents who lost children and grief, I can see going together. The marriage and pornography, I can see going together. Uh, she also was editor of the first U.S. issue of Time, Style, and Design. Is that even a thing? She has written humorous essays on interfactual marriage. I'm sorry, interfacial, interfactual. What the fuck is interfacial? All right.
Interfacial.
Oh, interfacial. Included between two faces of a crystal or other solid object relating to a form of common boundary between two portions. Phase one, phase two, interfacial, the point in the in-between point. All right, good job. Um, she has written humors as how Warren Buffett should fix bras and revoking Larry King's marriage license. In 2010, she wanted to. This sounds like somebody who's her friends give her medals and awards, and they have been doing so since about 1995. She holds a BA in English literature and a diploma of education from the University of Sydney, and began her journey's career. Okay, I'm completely bored. Right? Absolutely, completely bored. All right. I don't think she's serious. I think this article is stupid. I think she read these things and came up with a completely wrong conclusion. Yeah, I don't buy this at all. Just that first paragraph, that first paragraph really is just. She wrote this today, 5:51 p.m. Almost a third of it. Let's just go through the first paragraph one more time. Almost a third of adult single men live with a parent. Okay. Single men are much more likely to be unemployed, financially fragile, and to lack a college degree than those with partners. Okay. They're also likely to have a low medium earning. Single men earn less in 2019 than they did in 1990, which is a stunner for me. Okay. Even adjusted for inflation, this is the kicker. Single women, meanwhile, earn the same as they did 30 years ago, which is bad. But with partners have increased their earnings by 50%. So this doesn't say that they're knocking out the park because they're college fucking educated. This uh, okay. All right. That just doesn't make any sense. Uh Look, it's hard out here for a pimp. No pun intended. Um, but watch what you read because the history of American journalism is blaming people. Men leave college and go into trade school. Yeah, but I mean, trade schools, they shut a lot of those down, right? You have automotive trade schools, and in New York, I went to a flight aviation school to be a pilot, right? But I got caught up in art. So all these things, but they don't do that anymore. You have to go to college and then get in debt, and right, like everybody is a good student. Not everybody's good for college. And here's another thing about college: women learn differently. So you want women sitting down. I'm not you want women, but women will sit down and talk and discuss, and that suits it. Whereas guys don't like to sit down for very much longer, right? So there are ways that you can improve this if you wanted to. But I think the large thing is they essentially cut people's opportunity to do this shit 10, 15 years ago. And now people are sort of stuck eking out lies, right? Or they should have made it easier for everybody to go to college. And that would have been muscling up the education system to make sure that you were more qualified in junior high school to college. They don't do that. They just tell you we're going to give you more loans that you absolutely have to pay back. And, you know, go get at it. So we'll see. Most jobs for college degrees are highly saturated. Yeah, I can see that. If no one's going to college, yeah. Look, man, I gotta tell you, there are people I am not a fan of who, and they have TV shows and radio shows, and a lot of them. Look, if you want to be from a foreign land and cook something here on American television, I totally get that. But we show up with your philosophy of what is wrong with the place, I instantly am offended. This is why I'm like, who is this person? Um, that whole article seemed ridiculous. Even as she hit on some good points about how some of these jobs that like you didn't need a college education for, but then you could like go on and get married and buy a house and all these. That was another segment of society, right? The labor market, and they undercut it just to sell you these dreams. And like I said before, everybody can't go to college. You needed trade schools, and you ended all of them. essentially, right? What? No, I did not, but we are going to. That FBI rates office of New York City Police Sergeants Union. Ooh, that's not good. Uh-oh. New York. Federal agents raided the office Tuesday of New York City's police union, the Sergeants Benevolent Association, and the long. Whoa. The federal agents raided the office Tuesday of the New York City Police Union, the Sergeants Benevolent Association, and the Long Island home of this bombastic leader who had clashed with the city officials over this incendiary tweet and hardline tactics. They raided the the PBA, and the Sergeants Benevolent Association. Or is that a weirdly worded sentence? FBI spokesperson Martin Freely said agents were carrying out law enforcement actions in connection with ongoing investigation. This is not new, right? Well, this might be new, but a million years ago, before Patrick Lynch took over, the feds did this with Caruso, I think the last union head's name was, who also was there for like 40 years. And then not 40, but like 30. And now Patrick Lynch has been there for just as long. And nobody looks at him, then you look up one day, they're being investigated for fucking with the money. And it looks like, if I had to guess, with unions, I'd say it was that. FBI spokesman carrying out law enforcement actions in connection with ongoing investigation. Agents were seen carrying boxes out of the union's Manhattan headquarters and loading them into vans. The FBI also searched Union President Ed Mullins' home in Port Washington, Long Island. All these guys live on fucking Long Island. Why are you in the city? Right? Oh, because the money's good to be a. That's really what it is. All right. Messages seeking comment were left with Mullins and the union, which represents about 13,000 active and retired NYPD sergeants and control a $264 million retirement fund. Cost of Mullins' cell phone will not return. See, that first sentence has me. Federal agents raided the offices Tuesday of a New York City police union. Okay, all right. All right, okay, that's different. Of a New York City police union. Because I was like, it's not like they raided two of them. New York City has 5 unions. Oh boy. New York City has 5 unions. 5. No, I'm sorry. 4 unions. You have the PBA, you have the Sergeants Benevolent Association, you have the Lieutenants Association, you have the captains and superior officers, or captains, inspectors, chiefs, all in the same union. And they're all different. So, headed by different people, 4 different unions. I wonder what they were looking for. Messages seeking comment were not returned. Mullins, a police sergeant detached to a full-time union work, is in the middle of a department disciplinary proceeding for tweeting NYPD paperwork last year regarding the arrest of Mayor Bill de Blasio's daughter. Yeah, see what happens? You bring people's fucking kids into it. Now you're about to lose. Oh, stop it. You're about to lose everything, and you should. I mean, these cops act like this is our fucking police department. We can do what we want with it. The whole thing that you would fuck with your boss's daughter like this, you should have been. I would have fired you outright. Let you spend the next 10 years getting your gig back. He's been head a while. Yeah, they sit them there, and then they get arrogant and corrupt. At that point, you're a politician. It's who you know and who likes you and all this kind of energy versus how good a job you're doing. Oh, I mean, Ugh. Might need more ice for that, or water for that, rather. Mueller's apartment trial began last month but was postponed indefinitely after one of his lawyers suffered a medical emergency. What do you mean postponed indefinitely? What is this bullshit? Not, see, that right there sounds like a fix. Don't worry, and all these lawyers make a ton of money working as cop lawyers for the unions. They make a ton of cake, a ton of cake. It becomes like a club. The police had to move the daughter's furniture. I don't believe that, but okay. Mullen's lawyers denied he violated department guidelines, arguing arrest papers with Chiara de Blasio's personal identifying information, such as her date of birth and address, were already posted online. Mullins is also suing the department, claiming that they were trying to muzzle him by grilling him and recommending disciplinary action over his online missives, which has included claims that officers were at war with city leaders. See? Yeah, I would fire him. Asked about the raid Tuesday, Mayor de Blasio told reporters he didn't have enough information to comment. I think he's been a divisive voice, de Blasio said of Mullins, but that doesn't cause me to feel anything in this situation because I don't know what happened. All I hear is an FBI raid. I don't know the specifics. I don't know who it's directed at. Yeah, you do. It's directed at Mullins. They just said so. I want to really hear the details before I comment further. The Sergeant Benevolent Association runs a widow and children's fund, a scholarship fund for members' children, and Blue Christmas, which distributes toys to needy children. Not in all areas, I know that. Mullins, a police officer since 1982, rose to sergeant, a rank above detective. No, a rank above detective. No, that's not right. Mullins is a police officer since 1992, rose to sergeant, rose to sergeant, a rank above detective, but below captain and lieutenant. That should be below lieutenant and captain. In 1993, was elected to the president of the Sergeant Union in what, a rank above detective, but below captain and lieutenant. In 1993, he rose to sergeant in 1993. What is this sentence? Mullins, a police officer since 1982, rose to sergeant, a rank above detective, but below captain and lieutenant, comma, in 1993, and was elected president. This didn't need to be here. 82 rose to sergeant in 1993 and was elected president of the Sergeants Union in 2002. See, there, I fixed it for you. God, you know what? Who wrote this? God dang it. The associate of Michael R. Cizik. Oh, do I even have to look up who Cizik is? All right. President of the Sergeants Union in 2002. I'm sorry. Here's the thing about this police officer in 1982, rose to the rank of sergeant, a rank above detective. No, it's cop, it's sergeant, you take the sergeant exam. It's lieutenant, you take the lieutenant exam. It's captain, you take the captain exam. You get made, and then after that, the mayor or the police commissioner goes, "You're a deputy inspector." Then it's by sacred anointing to be a chief, right? But you could take two routes. You could be a cop who becomes a detective, and then a detective can take the sergeant's exam, or a cop can take the sergeant's exam. It's not, one is not your boss. It's just sort of a branching off. And then you could be a first grade, a third grade, a second grade, and a first grade detective. But New York City, I mean, we don't have detective well, we do have sergeants who are assigned to the detective bureau, right? But they're sergeants. They're not some magic sergeant detective, right? Maybe they were detective and then they took the sergeant exam and became sergeants and they stayed in the detective bureau. Yeah, there's one thing that pisses me off when I'm watching TV, and you see the detective walk over and yell at the cop, da da da, and get me some coffee. And the guy goes, "Yeah, detective," and he runs off. That's no, no. At least not in New York. He'd be like, "What the fuck? You better get the fuck away from me. You get knocked the fuck out because you are not my boss. You are just on a different track, but you're no different than They're no different than B cops who may have 15 or 20 years on, right? Because New York City Police Department doesn't do corporals. Uh, it's a great job to have. It's a good system. It's just fucking full of knuckleheads. Under Mueller's leadership, the union has fought for better pay. I would hope so. You're a union with contracts resulting in pay increases of up to 40%, and staked a prominent position in the anti-reform movement, of course, because we don't want the fucking cops held accountable for anything. These people. Yeah, this is your karma evening now. Though he's full-time union chief, city law has allowed Mullins to retain his sergeant position and collect salaries from both the union and the police department. So yeah, so you're picking he's a sergeant, he's probably making 75 grand a year, 80 grand a year. And then on top of that, he's probably making 60 grand a year from the union. I mean, they wrote these bullshit laws to be like, look, your cops shouldn't be rich. It's not just the cops. Randy Weingartner is a teacher. She's head of the teachers union. She hasn't been in class in 30 fucking years, and she's super duper rich as a teachers union head. And now she's the head of the national teachers union. You can't trust rich cops or rich teachers. You can't. You can't. You just can't. You can barely trust the bankers, and they're rich. But like, what's next? Rich sanitation worker? I mean, you should make a good salary, and we appreciate the job you do. But you're making like 100 grand a year as a cop, you know, without a college education. Yeah, the whole thing is ridiculous. And I'm pro cop, but come on now, seriously. And this is another thing. I wouldn't even be saying any of this shit if you did your job and you did it well. You stop hurting innocent people. I'm like, yeah, it's a perk, let them have it. But now I'm like, oh, okay, let's look at all the bad shit about the shit you're doing and how you live your life. Oh, you're this incompetent at it, and you're taking all this for yourself. It's just like the congressmen, the senators. They do the same sort of. I'm gonna pad myself while I'm here, and the way to do it, and it's been going good for forever, is racism with the police, right? And by racism, I mean, oh, if you don't let us do whatever we want, those people will get out, whether it's the Puerto Ricans or the blacks or the immigrants or whatever, will get out of control. And where's your last line of defense? Period. You can give them all this power, and then they just get arrogant. I want to know what he did. Though he's a full-time union chief, uh, Mullins retains his sergeant position and collects salary from both the union and the police department. Last year, Mullins made more than $220,000 between the two. According to public records, $88,757 from the union and 130. He makes $133,000 from the NYPD and 88,000 from the union. Wait, I grossly underestimated how much he was making. The NYPD referred questions about Mullins to the FBI. Smart. Really smart. The NYPD referred. We're not going to answer this at all. We're not even going to entertain question one about it. Go to the feds. You should have to answer. It's your department. He's your sergeant. You should explain yourselves. But you know, you can put this under we don't comment on ongoing investigations, or there's an investigation that's being held by another department. We don't know much about it. So you got a lot of like leeway to kind of like skirt seriously answering the question, which is what these people do now. They don't ask your questions. Along with Mullins, periodic appearances on cable news networks like Fox News and Newsmax, including one in which he was pictured in front of a QAnon mug. Perhaps the union's most powerful megaphone is 45,000 follower Twitter account, which Mullins runs himself, often to fiery effect. Yes. So now he's like some religious zealot. Yeah, now fire him. You've gotten too big to be useful. In 2018, amid a rash of incidents in which police officers were doused with water. A rash of incidents doused with water. Mullins suggested it was time for then Commissioner James O'Neill and Chief of Department Terrence McMahon to consider another profession, and tweeted that O'Neill must go. See, this is you being a dick to your, like, here's the thing. If you're a sergeant in the army and you call the captain of the whatever, and you're gonna have to hear about that. In the New York City setup, you get a lot of room to say whatever you want as a union head. But that's just being an asshole to your boss. I mean, you still need allies in the system, right? O'Neill, really? O'Neill. And he spelled it like kneeling. O'Neill. Yeah. Yeah, I would come for you too. O'Neill must go. So the commissioner is the head of all the cops in the city, appointed by the mayor. And the chief of department is the highest uniformed police officer, right? He's the guy with the 4 stars. He heads all the other um he heads all the bureaus. They talk to him and then he briefs the commissioner, right? He's the highest uniform. It's the job I wanted. I so wanted that. I coveted that job so bad. I so wanted it. I still think I'd be ball ass great at it. Get to wear my uniform again. And I'm an insomniac. I get to drive around New York City at all hours of the night, showing up at all random calls, talking to the citizens at all. Yeah, they would love me. Uh O'Neill retorted that the Mullins was a bit of a keyboard gangster who seldomly showed up to department functions. He's a keyboard gangster. Last year, Mullins came under fire for tweets calling the city's former health commissioner, Dr. Osiris, Osiris Barbeau, a bitch, and U.S. Rep. Richie Torres, a first-class whore. Yeah, see, fuck him. Fuck him. Get him out of there. Mullen was upset over reports Barbeau refused to give face masks to police in the early days of the pandemic, and angry with Torres calls for an investigation into potential police work slowdown. Yeah, people get murdered during police slowdowns, you idiots. You shouldn't be doing it. And when you're found doing it, you should be fucking fired. Calls for an investigation into potential police work slowdowns in September 2020. Just about a year ago. Torres, who is gay, denounced Mullins' tweet as homophobic. Okay, first he's gay and you call him a whore. All right, and he's a freaking representative. Is he a U.S. rep? He's not even a state representative. He's a U.S. congressman. Yeah, fuck this guy. Excuse my language, but fuck this guy. Like, if you think you're so big in these positions, that's when I'm like, and Bratton was an idiot too. That's why I'm like, what in the fuck? And I mean, you hear that arrogance at these pressers. Uh, yeah, yeah, it was a while ago. In 2019, it wasn't tweeted that. Hold on, did I missed a lot of this. Her name is Osiris. Osiris Oxiris. Osiris. All right. Spell it any way you want to. Mullins, who is okay. Torres, who is gay, denounced Mullins' tweet as homophobic. On Tuesday, Torres referenced the tweet in reacting to the news of the raid. Ed Mullins, who famously called me a first-class whore for daring to ask questions about the Sergeant Benevolent Association (SBA), NYPD just got a first-class raid from the FBI. In 2019, it wasn't. Look, the FBI doesn't fucking raid your crib unless they've got something to go on, and that's that. In 2019, it wasn't tweets that got Mullins into trouble, but rather comments he made in a radio interview suggesting that slain Bernard College student Tessa Majors, who is from Virginia, not far away from here, had gone to the park where she was killed to buy marijuana. See, you just pull shit out of your ass. How do you know this? Police later arrested 3 teens saying she'd been stabbed during an attempted robbery. Major's family called Mullins' remark on the radio show deeply inappropriate, victim blaming, and urged him not to engage in such irresponsible public speculation. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. New York Times. I wonder what the spin for the this is 2018. Manhattan DA raids Newsweek's headquarters. They raided his work and his house. Yeah, explain yourself, doofus. This is when everybody who knows you, who's a cop with you, is just going to stand aside. They're just going to take a step back, like, don't know him that well. I mean, hey, he's a even though you've been hanging out with him for 30 years. It's like some of those scenes in those mafia Goodfellas movies. Definitely on Tuesday raided the headquarters of New York Police Department's second largest union and the home of the union outspoken president. Multiple people confirmed to CNN. Second largest union. The police department, second largest union. That makes sense. You're going to have more regular cops, and then it's a pyramid, right? Up to one chief and one commissioner, but then maybe I don't know, 150 captains, 300, 500 lieutenants, 1,000, 2,000 sergeants, 10,000 cops. That's kind of like the maker, right? For every captain, there are 7 lieutenants. For every lieutenant, there are 10 sergeants. For every sergeant, there is, I want to say, 30 cops. That's just a loose breakdown in my head. The department has 30,000 cops, right? So they must have 10,000 sergeants and maybe 3,000 lieutenants and maybe I want captains and above. I want to say maybe 500 captains and above, right? All right. So what do we got here? Multiple people confirmed. New York City police confirmed the raid of Sergeant Association Tuesday morning. All I have been told the FBI that the raid at SB headquarters is in connection with the ongoing investigation, but we don't have any further details on that at the moment, de Blasio said. A source confirmed the FBI also raided an address in Port Washington, New York, according to public records, home to SBA President Edward Mullins. CNN has reached out to Mullins for comment. Andrew Quinn, an attorney representing the SBA, had no comment. You can't wait to fucking shoot your mouth off when it's pointing your finger at somebody. Not like this. You deserve to make a fucking comment when contacted by CNN. An FBI spokesman said the FBI is conducting law enforcement action in connection with an ongoing investigation, but would not comment further. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan declined to comment. Shame on all of you. Port Washington Police Chief Robert Del Muro said FBI generally notifies local police departments about raids happening in their jurisdiction, but the police department was not notified. Yes, so you don't tip anybody off, and then I have to lock your ass up, right? This has to do with your police department, so we're not going to notify you. We need to participate and knew about his home being raided, Del Muro said. CNN has reached out to FBI for comment, and Chief Del Muro's statements on Del Muro's statement on not being notified of the raid. Yeah, you don't notify him. Port Washington police chief. So they didn't notify his home police, and they didn't notify the NYPD. Source for U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan declined to comment. Yeah. See, greedy. He was making 188 grand a year. Now he stands to go to jail and lose all that shit. Shame on him. Shame on him. The people need good police work and good cops, and everybody just wants to be like their version of Scarface. You know, it's that position is not his. It's a position within the Sergeants Benevolent Association. It's not his. He can be arrested and sent off, and to be somebody else's. You know what I'm saying? And I think they really do think that it's theirs. Like there's some Don sitting there. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, I mean Bratton married up too, right? He was a sergeant who married a socialite. If all teachers have to get the vaccine, will it go to the police department? Cops don't want to get this vaccine. We don't talk about the vaccine here, but yeah, I mean, that's another group who don't want to get this vaccine, the cops. I don't really know what to tell you. Oh, we got 20 seconds. All right. Let's stop this. Let's get over here. Turn it up. Taco Tuesday, man. I don't even know what to tell you. That is just wild. I wonder if there's video footage of it. Oh, there are pictures. Yikes. Yeah, people become like just fucking meatheads. Wow. Not very many pictures. We saw this, right? Yeah, one picture. One picture. NBC News. When I was a kid, when I was hold on. When I was a kid, I mean, the whole point was having like people stick all these people's pictures in the paper. Get that thing. Now nobody's pictures in the paper. Jonathan Deans. Oh yeah, these are the people who wrote the damn article. I was hoping some I was hoping to get some comments going, but yeah, maybe that's a good thing. Red Sox Yankees 8 p.m. I thought the Yankees just clinched, didn't they? Huh. Um Hold on, let me cut this off. I want to see where I can watch the game. But neither one of those are in this market. Loser goes home. Oh. Yeah, what is everybody's record? What is the Yankees' record? Red Sox. The Yankees are 92 and 70. So are the Red Sox, 92 and 70. Exact, almost 5, 6, 8, by now, 8 games back. 49, 32, 46, 35, home versus away, I guess. 43, 38, 46, 35. Yeah, I won't be able to watch this tonight. It's not in my market. Oy, all right. I'm going down rabbit holes here with baseball. I did that a couple of days ago with football. I could not. There's supposed to be games you could watch on like YouTube, but I couldn't find any of them. All right. All right. We've been streaming for an hour and 20 minutes. I guess we're gonna end it here because I'm all tired of eating grapes. I would offer you guys some, but the grapes, I might. We'll dim that later. I want to thank everyone for coming through. You guys made my day. I've been having quite some weeks, but I'll just keep that to myself. I will be back tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. We are here every day, 6:30 every night. Come get some where we talk all kind of nonsense. And it's fun and it's good for you. I think that's it. We will be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 6:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. nightly, Monday through Saturday. Sunday we do a 7:30 a.m. show. swing by for that. That counts as church if you spend 10 minutes with us. Those are normally 3 hours, and we really get into all kind of silliness. But yeah, we're here every day. We're gonna be here for every day for 1,000 days. Coming through. I've been thinking about taking a day off, so I don't know if that's gonna be Thanksgiving or Christmas. But I think I've got one day coming, coming at least in the next 3 months, the next 90 days. Woo! So that'll be 6 months. It'll be 6 months in like the end of the end of December. And I think I'm entitled to one day off around there. But hey, we've been good, right? We said when we started this, we were going to give ourselves 2 days off, but not for 3 months. And we've been streaming for 4 months, 5 months. How long have we been streaming? And I think we're right about there. So I think we'll be here for Christmas. Christmas. We'll be here for Halloween, definitely. But I don't know what we're gonna do about Christmas and Thanksgiving, the eating holidays. Uh, this is gonna be a really interesting series for me because I've never. I mean, we did July 4th, and I was here for September 11th, but I mean, every day, I didn't even think about the holidays where people are going to be away and what would I do if I were going to be away. Who knows, right? But we'll be here. We'll be here. Uh, every day, 6:30 p.m. Holidays, we're gonna figure something out because we want to stream every day. Take care of yourself, William. We will be back tomorrow at 6:30 to figure it all out. I want to thank William for coming through. I want to thank everybody for coming through. I want to thank Brian for coming through. Uh, I want to thank my man Nile Joe Shabazz for coming through, and my man Biz with all the good support. I just wanted to give you a shout out there. I appreciate you, Biz. Right here, man. Brother from another mother. I feel you. All right. We will be back tomorrow, 6:30. Don't miss it. It's going to be. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was gonna say electrifying. It'll be something. It will be something. Tomorrow is hump day. So remember, we do what we do every hump day. We sell our humps because that's when they're worth the most. All right, guys. Peace out. I will see you in the next one. And the next one is tomorrow at 6:30.